Hey everybody, Joey Boy here, the Joey you can trust, back with the Walking Dead Roast 5 video, featuring a new series to the channel, Road to Survival, Team Building with the Community. And here we have Chaos's roster, with the roster strength being... One thing I want to talk about before going into team building is, thank you everybody out there that has supported the channel. I've just recently hit 1,000 subscribers, which is the first big milestone for me in YouTube content creation. Before I even got into RTS videos and making, I had like 36 subs. That was just basically family and friends from doing other silly stuff when I used to do Twitch back in the day and then posted some other dumb stuff on YouTube. And when I started doing everything in RTS, I started everything in Windows Movie Maker and basically got into the realm of video editing for my other programming job. So when I put things out on my shelf to sell, I can have quality tutorial videos to explain how to use what I am selling. Let's wrap up this part up really quickly so we can get to the team building part, as I'm sure that's why you're all here. I want to give a nice big thank you to Vegas Reality, Z Gaming, Lockdown, Mama Deadhead, GBZ, Rushproof TV, The Fox, JB, Shane for the shoutouts, retweets, supports, information, and collabs that have made my journey with this so far a lot of fun. Also, thank you to the 3 super secret ninjutsu devs on the forums who we really don't hear from anymore, but I know you're still out there. Combat Devil, Jack, and Combat Man. I occasionally get rosters from players and asking for any attack or defense teams that can be made, which makes sense quite a bit when war is upcoming, as it's almost crunch time to go to battle for hours on end. This led me to starting this video series where I will take someone's roster, and I will show you all the roster I'm dealing with, how I break it down for attack and defense teams, weapons, and combat mods. Hopefully showing you all my thought process will allow you all to take what I say and be able to apply these methods yourself. Here we have a roster from Chaos, who's the leader of the Saviors in Talbot region. I'm going to slide this roster so you can see it all in its entirety. Afterwards, we will break it down together. Our first approach is leadership skills. As of right now, that is all we care about, so we do not overwhelm ourselves, especially the players out there that are over their roster cap by 200 or 300. From the list of leadership skills, I have broken them up into attack-based leadership skill survivors and defensive-based leadership skill survivors. There are some that can be used for both offense and defense, such as Javier, but for this person's roster, I would be using Javier as an attack team. Let's talk about the attack teams first. I could make a team for every single one of these leaders, but that would take a really long fucking time, so I'm going to pick 2 attack teams and 3 defense teams. When we make our attack teams, what should be a driving force for our decision should be the question, what type of teams will I more than likely face? Well, the common ones are all range, Erica leaders, all melee, Carl, Gabriel, Rosita, Lydia leaders, yellow-blue, Garrett, and green-blue, Dante. The ones we are in control trait-wise with leadership skills for our offensive pressure is versing all range, all melee, and yellow-blue. So let's keep that in mind when we're making our teams. Let's focus on those annoying human shield melee teams with revives. Since we are dealing with tanky teams with revives, we will want an offensive leadership skill. So we pick Leak Store Mirabelle for her 40% attack and HP to all melee. Since revives are on the team, we will want to decapitate, so Alpha is the next choice. Knowing we are going up against a tanky team, even though we should have trait advantage or extra damage, Alpha's Adrenaline Rush percent damage being 325% is mediocre. To help this, we will want an attack buff and a defense down. Since this team is going up against human shields, focus will be a top mechanic to have on your team. We can bring in Kate for a team-wide focus, attack buff, and heal. Alpha will not need to use her active since Kate applies a 50% attack buff, which allows for Alpha to attack more often. Next is to take care of the defense down. Chaos was super lucky to grab Harper for this very moment. Harper will lower attack and defense, and Kate will raise your team's attack, allowing for Alpha to just decimate anybody she adrenaline rushes. We will want a command as well to make sure we can apply a turn 2 adrenaline rush. Turn 1, everyone attacks normally. Turn 2, you have the option to command Kate if you really need a heal, or you can command Harper for a disarm or kill and defense and attack lowering. Turn 3, you just use Kate's or Harper's Adrenaline Rush, whichever one you didn't command turn 2, and then command Alpha turn 3. At this point, you should have really done some serious damage. Also, in the process of getting Alpha ready to Adrenaline Rush the enemy team, make sure you are attacking other survivors who need to lose a little bit more HP so that Alpha can get the killing blow. What I mean by this is there's no point to attack someone that we know 100% will die from Alpha's Adrenaline Rush without your team even attacking them. So we want to put that damage elsewhere where Alpha won't kill them straight up, but with a little bit of damage help from your team, Alpha can get that kill when she does Adrenaline Rush. Looking at this team's weapons, anybody that's a damage dealer, we're pretty much going for an attack AP when attacking, and for the special weapon mod either being some sort of a stun or more damage pressure with a double attack for Alpha. As for Glenn, we take a more defensive and an AP down weapon. For the cases that he is attacked at all, we can have the chance of lowering AP for our enemy, as he's going to be sitting there commanding pretty much every 2 out of the 3 turns, so there really is no point to give him anything overly offensive in terms of power. Kate and Harper are pretty much going to be the same thing, it's just that Harper was able to get a stun on attack for her weapon, but with Kate, we're going to want an absolute defense because she's a 5-star, and if you're going up against a bunch of 6-stars, she's going to need that little bit of extra boost for help so she does not get taken out turn 1 or turn 2. As for combat mods, with Mirabelle, we take a standard attack where everything is offensive, with utility of AP down. We take a health combat mod for the wild card, as her leadership skill does also apply some health, does give 40% HP, so let's actually add that so it scales. As for Glenn, this is your standard defensive for combat mods. The one thing I do want to point out is burn on attack for your command, as they're not going to be commanding somebody turn 1, but turns 2 and 3, they will be commanding somebody else, or at least a very high chance that they will. So what we can do is, since burn lasts for 3 turns, we can apply a burn on attack to our command, so that first attack that they do, they can actually apply a burn, and then when it comes turn 4, when the burn wears off, our command should actually not have to command anybody, and we can basic attack again to just continue the burn on somebody else. Alpha is your standard offensive combat mod. AP down utility for that chance whenever you're trying to decap somebody with a last hit and it just happens that you don't get the kill and that person that you're trying to kill had 1% HP left and now they're going to use their adrenaline rush. The AP down is to make sure in case that situation happens, we can get an AP down proc and that person will not use their adrenaline rush come their next turn. Kate and Harper, we're going to build very similar, except for Kate's going to get grazed and Harper is going to get AP down, as Harper is a multi-attack adrenaline rush user, so we can actually drain somebody's adrenaline rush if need be. Second attack team, we will take a range team approach. We're using Andrea leadership skill for her attack and her AP when attacking. Seeing as we will mainly be facing range, we will stick to mostly applying blues to this team. We toss in Disarm Michonne for a disarming so that we do not get affected by special weapon mods, as range will be all about impair and stun. We will want to bring a decapitate, as we will be facing off against Americas. With Tyrese part of the team, a command for turn 3 adrenaline rush usage will be beneficial, because if not, the enemy will release adrenaline rushes before Tyrese, which could potentially not allow Tyrese to get a kill when he uses his adrenaline rush. So we bring in Command Sadiq. The last spot, and since we are going to create a massively glass cannon build, we will have the last spot be Erica, so that if our team is looking in terrible shape turn 2, we can command Erica to adrenaline rush for heal, bonus HP, and a potential revive. As for Andrea, her weapon is pretty basic with an attack, AP when attacking, and a double attack. For combat mods, we go brute force with AP down for some utility. Seeing as we don't have a stun on attack, and if we're going to start last hitting people and we don't kill somebody, we need to make sure that we don't leave them with full AP, so AP down is the approach here. For our Sadiq here, it's going to be very similar to how we did Glenn. But instead of AP down, we're going to go impair when being attacked. As this man is just going to be a statue, just taking hits and commanding others, with a very occasional chance that he will basic attack. Combat mods, we're going to take a tanky, pretty much do the same thing with burn on attack as we did with Glenn, as the same idea still applies here. Disarm Michonne's weapon, we take a brute force this as well. You can go attack crit or confuse and double attack. Both do wonders. If you're looking for more brute force, I would go double attack and confuse if you need a little bit more CC to your team. For the combat mods as well, it is also another brute force. We don't do stun resist, as she cannot be applied by defensive special weapon mods, so we bring in the confuse resist, as we don't want her confused and double attacking our own teammates, confusing our own teammates, or disarming them. Moving over to Tyrese, we also take an offensive typical blue double attack weapon. For the combat mods, we're going to go pure brute force just like Andrea. The only difference here is you can use crit damage or an AP down combat mod, as we're going to go back to how we described Alpha. If you miss that decapitate for last hitting, you can make sure in case you get a lucky crit to actually get the kill, or if you don't want to rely on crit and you think an AP down might be better suited for you, then I would take that route. As for Erica, since she is our medic, we are going to be building her defensive with her getting her adrenaline rush off as much as possible. That means we're going to go defense on her weapon, AP when attacking, and then stun when taking damage. As for her combat mods, Pure Brick House with a defense or HP set, defense combat mods. Of course, we want to go defense first blue in case we start raiding some range teams that do have some heavy blues. And if anybody on our team happens to be confused and has a double attack weapon, we need to make sure that also our team does not kill her. And to make sure that her special weapon mod continues to keep working, we will run a stun resist, and for her to stay alive longer, we will run a graze and HP wildcard combat mod. Let's jump over to 3 defense teams. Timeout teams are pretty damn good, and nothing really overwhelmingly beats them. You either have this awesome firepower defense team that kills your enemy within 3 turns in, or you have this timeout team that takes them 5 minutes to almost kill you, or they don't get a kill. Based on having one of these 2 options, I will choose the latter and make 3 timeout teams. Seeing our list of survivors to use, I will be picking Erica, Red League Store Zeke, and Lydia as our leaders. Erica is up first with a ranged defense, and we will want to make sure we have ways of blocking complete damage. Seeing blues with double attacks will cause some problems, so we toss in Guardian 2 Herschel. To potentially give Herschel more time to apply Guardian Shields, we will also toss in a Magna. Since there are some heavy-hitting yellows out there, we choose a Revive Tanky Specialist Blue Hunter. This allows us to have a survivor to have increased chances to not die when barraged by basic attacks, but will require a one-shot burst to bring him down so that Indomitable doesn't stack. The last spot for the team will be another Erica for timeout potential if she is able to get her adrenaline rush off. As you can see here, all of these survivors are basically going pure defensive except for Guardian 2 Herschel, which we sacrifice a little bit of tankiness for some crit chance to make sure we can get some more procs off on his Guardian 2. And as you can see here, the same applies to combat mods as well. We are going defensive with our weakness trait. As you can see, Erica defense first blue, just like with Magna, defense first yellow, and etc. For the second defense team, this will be a rainbow defense team comp, and we will have Red Zeke as our leader. This allows us to bring in a variety of survivors so that trait disadvantages are not so bad, but our team takes a hit as this team's melee won't have any defense buffs. So that is the case, we will bring in 2 survivors being Lydia and Dante, who will not only increase defenses by a decent amount, but also revive and heal. We bring in Command Sadiq so that turn 2 we either have Dante, Red Zeke, or Erica be commanded to support the team so that the following turns are just one adrenaline rush after another, creating a full HP and bonus HP team with defenses. In the case Sadiq uses his adrenaline rush, then he just potentially filled up somebody else's adrenaline rush, which results in chain ARing. Once again, we bring in completely defensive weapons with some AP when attacking so we can get adrenaline rushes off popping as soon as possible. For our reds, we're going to use stun when taking damage. For our green Dante, we are actually not going to bring a stun when attacking weapon as he is not benefiting from a defense buff with the leadership skill, so we're going to need to bring in a little bit more survivability for him. As for our Command Sadiq, we are also going to be going tanky, but we're not going to go AP generation. We're going to make sure that we can build him with an impair when taking damage weapon, so the enemy, in case they try to take him out turn 1, so that nobody can be commanded turn 2 for a heal cycle, then we need to make sure we do that, so in case they do kill Sadiq, they do not have adrenaline rushes ready to pop off soon after. As for combat mods with this team, for the survivors that were able to benefit from Red Zeke's leadership skill in both manners with HP and defense, we throw AP down on them as they do have enough survivability, so we're going to bring some utility so that they can lower the AP of our enemies so that our team can use adrenaline rushes before them. In cases like Dante where he doesn't benefit from both leadership skills, we're going to throw a Graze combat mod on him to make sure that he is not the first one taken out. And since there is a possibility that Sadiq will be a high priority target as he is the command, we also throw a Graze combat mod on him as well. He won't be attacking as much as other survivors, so there really wouldn't be that much of a point to throw an AP down combat mod on him. Let's move to a melee defense, and we're going to use Lydia. Seeing as she is an 85 AR survivor with an amazing adrenaline rush, which also spells game over for your enemy if they don't use bleed or burns, so we will want to bring in a command Glenn so that she can use her adrenaline rush turn 3. We don't want to bring in any more 85 AR survivors so that she doesn't get commanded and some other 85 adrenaline rush survivor does. We will choose 2 more healing survivors so that turn 2 we have a great chance of a healer of some sort to be commanded to make the fight last longer. These healers will be Carl and Yvette. If Carl is commanded turn 2, then the enemy will be close to square 1, but on turn 2, which is in our favor. If it's Yvette, then it's worse for our attacker as they cannot use any taunts or confuses on us, as focus will make sure we are not affected by that. Harper for our last spot, since we can bring in a yellow with a stun weapon. Also, if Harper is commanded instead of one of our healers, this is still okay, as a 50% attack reduction should help buy us turn 2, since only one person on their team should be able to be commanded to use their adrenaline rush. So not much damage being dished out. As for combat mods, we're going pure defensive with utility through AP down. We run AP downs as the AI sometimes will just attack people randomly, and this will give us the case to hopefully lower the AP of 2 or more survivors, letting us have AP advantage come turns 2 and 3. As for Glenn, since he's not really going to be attacking that much, we're going to throw a Gray's combat mod on him. And that's going to wrap up the first video of team building rosters for the community. I hope, Chaos, this is what you were looking for. And to everyone out there, if I happen to overlook something that is core or desired to team building, please let me know and I will adjust for future videos. Since this is the first one, I already plan on there being mistakes and overlooks, so I have my arms wide open, ready to be pitchforked. With that being said, and being pitchforked to death and bleeding out, I will say my outro. Thank you all for